Before the video starts, I kind of want to share a funny story. See, when I made this poll between PK and Shaman, I was so sure Shaman was going to win it. I mean, she's the more fun character to watch and talk about, right? So, confidently, I started writing the script 7 videos ago. Just thought that was funny. Anyways, back to the video. Not very many heroes have the old game design For Honor used to have, and honestly, I do kind of miss it. Where some heroes excel at one thing, but struggle in another. They can struggle in many things, but it always boils down to good in duels and bad in fours. For example, a hero that excels in ones being Nusha. Nusha's biggest counter is, being peeled for because the lengthy animation she has on her traps. Oh my goodness. Especially that zone trap, where your opponent can actually have a better chance of dying of old age before the trap animation has fully finished. Then you also have a hero like Nabushi, where her 1v1 potential is utter fucking garbage because of how easy it is to shut her down. But her team play, peel, and fucking overtuned bleed damage, making you feel anemic after being hit by 3 Viper's retreats. Shaman definitely falls under the category of good in ones, but I wouldn't say she's bad in fours, more or less awfully dependent on her team. See, what makes a Shaman so brutal in ones is that 90% of the casual community cannot, and I mean cannot, react to Shaman's opener soft aim bleed mix-up. No. Seriously, starting any fight with a soft aim bleed is almost guaranteed damage unless they light interrupt you. The proof is just in the pudding right here. Dude, these things are faster than the haymakers I throw at women when they reject my advances. So in fours, how do you counter such a fast and insanely hard to react move? Huh, would you look at that? This is kind of what I meant by she struggles in fours, but to say that she's bad would be a blatant lie. See, before I mention anything about her, I said that she can be very dependent on her team she's playing with. Shaman's gimmick is that on any bleeding opponent, Shaman's Bash charges into a pounce that does a whopping 35 damage, revenge locks, and heals her. So if you see a Shaman, get ready to see one of these characters on their team. See, I already made this joke in the PK video. Fuck, see what I mean by I wrote this script 7 videos ago? No, but seriously, if someone picks Nabushi after you pick Shaman, the only way to probably say thank you to them is to have sex with them immediately. And if your team looks like this, well, just get ready for a gangbang. But before we get into the history of Shaman, if you are new or returning and want to support me in any way, make sure you hit that sub button. I really want to hit 20k before the end of the month. It's a huge ask, but it'd be a great way to start 2025. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the video. Shaman was released on November 14th, 2017 with the season of Order and Havoc. And I realized I've actually spelled Havoc wrong in the script, but I'm gonna leave it there because, someone in my life brainwashed me to think it's spelt like that. Thank you. This would be For Honor's 3rd DLC. Not only 3rd DLC, but 3rd DLC that year. Could you imagine not only getting 3 DLCs, but 6 new heroes in the same year? Oh, the mighty have fallen. It's funny how I bring up Havoc saying how I can't spell Havoc properly because of him, because the day 1 video I found was actually from his channel. Anyways, looking at her moveset is a literal 1-to-1 with her day 1 counterpart and 2025. This is the case where the hero got no additions to her overall kit, but where the differences show are in the hero specific tab. A lot is kind of the same as PK's, so I'll make it fast. Renown was a trait-specific passive that was given to Vanguards, Heavies, and Assassins that were specific to their class. Vanguards got bonus renown for killing minions, Assassins got more renown for 1v1 kills and kill streaks, and Heavies got more renown for boosting points and getting assists. They removed this class system because all people did was spam Heavies, since boosting and killing assists were the easiest way to farm renown in Dominion. The second discrepancy was Reflex Guard. I explained in the PK video, but there were some things I might have gotten wrong. But what Reflex Guard was, essentially, was a guard mode that would decay if left in the same direction, if held there for too long. Other than these 2 things, I believe Shaman has everything she has today. Dodge cancels, guard break, soft feint on heavies, even the Predator's Mercy second chance existed back then. It's crazy how much effort they put into a day 1 hero. I honestly kind of have to applaud them for it. But obviously the hero does play differently in terms of things like speed and damage. Here's a good example. A move like Predator's Mercy would sometimes send opponents too far for you to actually get any punishes. From the comments under the Havoc video, it seems like overall Shaman was going to be a nightmare for players, but what I see a lot was people, mainly Berserker mains, felt mixed feelings. On one side they liked the hero because it felt similar to the harassing playstyle of Zerk, but the other side felt like this was just basically Zerk 2.0. And obviously the biggest complaint was the bite damage. Each bar of For Honor is 25 HP. Now since Havoc did not have damage numbers on, I'm going to leave it to my eyeballs to say this was around 45 to 50 damage. Before we continue, I gotta be honest with you guys. Every single video in this History series has depended on the History of For Honor website to point me on dates, patch notes, but it stopped updating. And it mostly shows pictures of heroes that receive a change. Now imagine my fear, my utmost dread, when not a single picture here is Shaman's. The next step was to search up Shaman buffs to see what I could find, and I found another Havoc video dating back a year from now, to when she was buffed, to find a single buff to her kit. So I had two options, either just forego the history, or painstakingly go through every single major patch since she released, and potentially see if I can find anything. Page 47, give it up for page 47. Give it up for page 46. I think by the sound of my voice in this clip, you knew what option I chose. So to all of you that were like, where's the Shaman video? Where's the Shaman video? Just know that I could have taken the easy way out. 46. Page 46. Damn it. On November 30th, 2017, just about 2 weeks into Shaman's life, she would already see her first ever change, and they were all nerfs. Her dodge forward heavy attack, dodge attack, and running attack would see their damage reduced from 25 to 20. They would also nerf her opener heavy damage from 33 to 27. Not only that, but they would look at her hit recoveries and nerf those too, increasing her recovery after hitting an opponent from 700 to 1000 MS, and increasing her recovery if an opponent blocked her from 700 to 800 MS. December 15th, 2017, another list of nerfs coming to Shaman. All of her bashes that meant Predator's Hunger, Predator's Mercy, along with her dodge forward heavy attack would see nerfs to the ability to track their opponents due to Shaman being able to, quote, track their targets around walls. Alongside these nerfs, she would also see an increase on her stamina usage, her delay window shortened, and the range of both of her bashes would be reduced. January 11th, 2018, Shaman again, but instead of being nerfed, they would actually improve her kit. No, I was actually lying. These are all nerfs yet again. It says improvement, but these are not improvements. Ubisoft would remove her uninterruptible stance property that existed on the first 100 MS of Predator's Mercy, and players caught in the bash could now activate Revenge 300 MS earlier after being bit, and 500 MS earlier if the attack was hit by an external. April 18th, 2018, another nerf. If an external attacker hit Shaman during her bite, the opponent would be free and be cleansed of bleed. Before this, if the Shaman's bite was interrupted, the opponent would still be bleeding. December 12th, 2018, I'll give you a guess. Yep, another nerf. Shaman's pounce would now be immediately interrupted if hit by an ally. If that is confusing, let me explain it to you. Pinning moves back then used to be uninterruptible by friendlies. Warlord's Crashing Charge, Raider Stampede Charge, and yes, Shaman's Bite. All impossible to be interrupted by a teammate, so being pounced basically meant you just died. January 10th, 2019. Now this is where I'm going to throw a curveball at you. I'm fucking with you. It's another nerf to her throw distance on all sides. How much? Honestly, I have no idea. The patch notes don't disclaim it, but they were reduced. But finally, on September 25th, 2019, Shaman would see her first ever buff since release. Yeah, this basically did fucking nothing. Anyways, moving on. Okay, but for real, on September 15th, 2022, a whole 3 years later and 80 pages worth of patch notes, Shaman would receive some noticeable buffs. First was yet again another buff to Shaman's zone, going from 60 stamina usage to 30. Her finisher heavies would receive noticeable buffs in terms of forward movement and speed, increasing the movement by 0.75 meters and increasing the speed from 1100 ms to 900 ms. This buff, I believe, was a real save for Shaman because her finisher heavies were so slow that on reaction you could just light interrupt her before she can hit you, meaning that if she used these against an experienced player, they would just interrupt her with no questions asked. With this buff, they would at least trade with any light interrupt attempts. To continue with the buffs, on February 2nd, 2023, Shaman would receive her soft faint bleed on left and right side speed increase from 466 ms to 400 ms, just like how they are in today. And on April 28th, 2023, Shaman's heavy finisher miss recovery would be reduced from 1000 ms to 700 ms. And last, but certainly not least, the worst change in the history of the entire game, October 24th, 2024. Shaman's bash was sped up by 100 ms, meaning that this single speed increase meant Shaman got bite off heavy parry. Nobody, and I mean it, nobody liked this change. When even playing Shaman, I didn't like this change because the moment your opponent started bleeding, they just stopped playing the game because they knew a single mistake, whether it be heavy parry, light parry, guard break, anything would result in a bite. This was obviously removed about a week later, but not removed due to the devs realizing that this change just fucking blows cock. No. It was only removed because it gave Shaman an infinite wall splat. Obviously, this was never intended, but the devs sat there and told us to our face that if this bug did not exist, they would have kept this change. I don't know what fucking copium these guys were fucking hopping to think people would want this change to have stayed, but you know what? I'm just glad it's gone. Now, honestly, if I don't name this video the most nerfed character in Fortnite history, I don't know what else it could have been named. No, seriously, since the release, Shaman was nerfed a total of 11 times to her kit, spreading over 6 patch notes in a row, and 2 patch notes with buffs, and one of them was necessary because without it, Shaman's finisher heavies literally would be useless. But saying that, she is fun. Like, insane levels of fun that cannot be described. While I know it's extremely annoying to face good Shaman players, as the Shaman though, it is just so satisfying. The first thing I want to point out is the sound design. This is the first thing that ever comes to mind. The double light clanking sound, the sound of the bleed connecting to his target, and the ominous sound that just happens just before the bite. It's a masterpiece. The voice acting is just crazy as well. Ellen David, the voice behind Shaman, did such an amazing job. Okay, but enough about these small details. What about gameplay? While we talked about how she feels visually, we really haven't covered any of her gameplay yet. The first thing I want to point out is her gimmick, and this is a gimmick done right. Shaman's bite is the strongest move in her kit both by damage and by utility, but Shaman does not need bites to win a fight. This is what gimmick heroes should be. Not dependent on their gimmick, but something they could fall back on. But there's one gimmick I want to talk about that no one else really shows up with Shaman, and that's her ledging capabilities. You know, everyone always says, oh, Warlord's the king of ledging, oh, Warlord's the king of high fort, but I honestly beg to differ. I think it's Shaman. The other thing I like is something I did state at the start, and it's that this hero does not excel in teamfights, yet absolutely tears your ass open in 1v1 scenarios. Shaman's attacks are extremely misleading though, especially her dodge attacks, seeing as they will literally just phase through people right in front of your eyes. But this is why I like Shaman. Heroes need upsides and downsides. If a hero can excel at both 1v1 and 4v4s effectively, then almost every hero will just be a variation of Varangian Guard. That being said, Shaman may not excel in a team fight, but what she excels at is synergy. As I said, any hero with bleed is your best friend. The moment someone is tagged by bleed, it's like your vision blurs, you see red, and all you see is this. There aren't many heroes in this game capable of building all around their feats. You have like Lawbringer and Conqueror mid lane clearing, you have Pirate's unkillable build, but I want to show you my favorite build in the entire game, and that is the Trapper. No, what? Get this fucking guy out of here. Shaman, to my knowledge, is the only hero in this game that is able to equip more than 1 trap feat at the same time. Now, oh my god, I love doing this shit. It is so much fun to just set up a point with so many traps. It sometimes even turns your enemies into schizophrenics. It's my plan. What the fuck? I made him schizophrenic. You have to trust me. Run this Shaman build and see how much your mind expands when it starts to think of all the small little places you can put your traps. The mains and the fan base of Shaman though are one that I must talk about, and it's because they're a strange bunch. Like, extremely strange. If you meet a Shaman main and say something bad about her, expect them to do their best Winter Tommy impersonation and talk about how cute she actually is and how they want to like nibble on your neck. Look man, there's only one response I have to people like this. But I'll say this. I was never really fond of Shaman before this video. My mind has completely changed over time, kind of like with every other hero I've covered. It's crazy how this series has made it so much more fun to actually play the game, and that's honestly all because of you guys, and I can never thank you guys enough. And with that, that is the end of the history series. As always, I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day.